where did the name Rebels come from? We're going to finally get to that point, huh? Great. I love telling this story. So here we are on the Sunday, finishing finishing up with this Rebel Summit, Bend, Oregon, and we're meeting in the Great Room. This is so we had it at Deschutes Resort. Deschutes is a river. Deschutes, I'm probably not saying it right. Deschutes River goes through Bend, Oregon. A lot of breweries come from that water. That water is glacier. And we had a dinner. Excuse me, we had it has a hotel there, and then they had meeting rooms, and that's where we chose to do it. So Sunday morning, the show was over, the event was over, and those of us that kind of organized it, and a few people that just wanted to showed up, and we had a big breakfast the next morning. It was, and again, I mentioned Sean Ivory, and I'd like to point out that Sean is a phenomenal restorer. His wife is Bonnie. And every summit we've had, I think there have been five. Sean has been at all of them and has been along the ride. Sean doesn't say a whole lot, but he listens and he applies, and he has built a fantastic, amazing business in New Jersey. Just wanted to point that out. Also, he mentors a lot of people. So we're at this breakfast. OP's there. Forgot to mention OP, and I think Tim was there, Tim Bauer. And most of us are there. Those that didn't have to fly out were gathered at the table, just kind of reeling from what just happened. It had this huge amount of just energy and in fatigue from just being on the whole time. And we were just like, we looked at each other and said, "What the hell just happened?" It really was like that. And what did we just do? What is this? And regardless, we had already had the 2.0 going for a while. This was just like nitrous in the chamber. And we were sitting around saying, "Wow, this is something. This is actually something. We don't know what, but this can't stop." And we all had jobs and companies and families, and none of us were really looking to really do what this became. So we're sitting there, and I remember something along the lines. I think Dooley and I and maybe Ben or someone, Justinson, said, what is this? What is 2.0? Is it a coalition, a collective?" And I said something like, "Well, I think it's like an alliance. It's people that are getting together that align. Those of us that aren't aligned with this way of thinking weren't there, and they won't be there. And they would like the results of what it can do, but they're not going to put in the work and get the blood on them from being part of it." And so the word alliance came up. And we just kind of started just running with that. We said the alliance of independent restorers. Always had used the word independent. I still use independent. It's one of my core values of my company, independence. And in the conversation, and I think it was Andy said the alliance were like the Jedis. Like the Jedis in Star Wars were part of the alliance, and they were the New Republic, and then it went on to say they were rebels. We're just rebel scum. It stuck. Rebels were born in the great room at breakfast of the Shoots Hotel and Meeting Convention Center, that the 2.0 was officially going to be gone because I just didn't roll off the tongue, as well as rebels. Most everyone, you can guess those that didn't see themselves as rebels, loved the name. Said because they considered themselves rebels in general. You think of all the rebels in history: James Dean, uh, Prince, Elvis, Johnny Cash, on and on and on. Albert Einstein was a rebel. People who didn't go with the status quo, that did not do what everybody else thought they should do, or did it because other people did it. So it became the rebels. It was funny. More on this later, but it became the rebel moniker, the name. It became a little bit of an aggravation to a lot of people. A lot of people that loved kind of the ethos and the theory of what we were doing didn't love the name Rebel because it just wasn't what they considered it to be professional. News alert, we weren't starting at that time a professional association. It was a gang. It was a gathering. And we weren't overly interested in classifying it to be anything at that point. We just knew that it needed to happen and we needed to keep continuing because we were starting to see more and more people slack jawed, open eyed revelations that where has this been all these years? This is what I've been saying in the confines of my business, in my truck, when I was aggravated, when I was on the phone with someone. There needs to be a movement for this. And we became the rebels. And that's the story of how that came about.